What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Sorry, I'm a little frustrated because I had just recorded this and the file got corrupted. So, you're recording it again. But hopefully this time it does go a little bit smoother as last time it did not go too smooth. So, I'm here again trying to record this. For those of you who don't know what this is my fourth and final video on my preseason predictions for the NBA season, where today we talk about the playoffs. Everybody's the most exciting part of the year, everybody's favorite part of the year. Yeah, let's go ahead and get right into. Well, before we get into this, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed any of my last videos, if you haven't seen any of my last videos, go check them out. It'll make sense with their rankings and everything. It'll explain why teams are ranked higher than other teams. And some past videos I've broken down team by team in each division. So yeah, go check those out if you haven't already. If this is your first time here, I will absolutely look like a bumbling idiot sometimes. But and there are a few times where I spit coherent sentences, so you don't want to miss those out. So subscribe and drop a like on the video. Hit the bell for getting notifications when I upload, because I will be uploading, I think, 3 times a week. I guarantee 2 times a week, if not 3 times. So you don't want to miss those. I don't think. So starting off the plays, for those of you who don't know, the NBA has implemented a play-in tournament this year, where the 7th and 8th seed will play a game for the 7th seed, and the 9th and 10th seed will play a game to play the loser of the 7th and 8th game for the 8th seed. I don't think that's too confusing, but yeah, I'll go ahead and it'll make more sense. If it doesn't make sense, it'll make more sense with this. So, in the Eastern Conference, my 7th seed is the Indiana Pacers, and they will be playing my 8th seed, the Washington Wizards. So, yeah, I have the Washington Wizards winning this series, this game, because of two factors. Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal. There you go. That's why Washington wins. So yeah, I have Washington moving on and getting the 7th seed. And then in the 9 versus 10 matchup, the Hawks versus Bulls, I just don't think the Bulls are quite ready yet. The Hawks have their number 1. The Bulls they don't have their number 1. I don't think so. I have the Hawks winning this and going on to play the Pacers for the 8th seed. And I think the Hawks take it. Both are very well-balanced teams, but I like the Hawks just a tad bit more. So if you did see my last video, or my first video with the standing predictions, all it really means is so basically Indiana drops down to the 9th seed, while the Wizards and Hawks move up to the 7th and 8th seed respectively. Next, the 7th seeded Pelicans in the West versus the 8th seeded Jazz. I have the Jazz winning. I love the Jazz's defense. They might have to run a double center against the Pelicans for Zion and Steven Adams, but yeah, I think Quinn Snyder does a good enough job in this game to get the Jazz the win. So Jazz go up to the 7th seed. Next, Suns versus Grizzlies. Both are pretty close, except for they're both close in seeding, but there's just. I think the Suns are closer to the Jazz than they are the Grizzlies in terms of skill. So Suns are going to go ahead and take this. Then for the 8th seed matchup, the Pelicans versus the Suns. It is very close. Both teams have a great starting 5, and the bench depth is it's iffy, but the Pelicans do have a better bench depth, and I'm going to go with the Pelicans to go ahead and get the 8th seed. So all it really means for the playoffs is the Jazz and Pelicans switch spots, even though I do think that Pelicans will be the higher seed going into that play-in tournament, but the Jazz will be the higher seed coming out of it. So now here we are in the playoffs. We have the 1-seeded Bucks in the East versus the 8th-seeded Hawks. The Bucks are going to win in 5. Legitimate question here: who's going to slow down Giannis? No, not a single person on the Hawks team can slow down Giannis, I don't think. So, based off that factor alone, I can go into a lot more, but I'm going to try and make this video shorter because I'm trying to go to bed. The Bucks are going to win. Next, we have the 4-seeded Brooklyn Nets versus the 5th-seeded 76ers. I have the 76ers winning this one. It'll be one of the more interesting ones to watch this entire first round. If I just, yeah, I think this will be one of the more interesting ones to watch. I think, though, that the duo of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid topple the duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving for this year. When it comes back to it next year, if these two teams play, it very easily could be the Nets. But for this year, I think the 76ers get into the second round, winning 4-3 this series. Next, another interesting one, not quite as interesting as Nets and 76ers, but Heat versus Raptors. The Heat are pretty much the same team. They gained Precious Achiuwa, lost Jay Crowder, which is going to hurt. But they're going against the Raptors, who I don't have a good feeling about the Raptors this year. And because I do have a fairly good feeling about the Heat, I have them winning in 6. Next, we have the 2-seeded Celtics versus the 7-seeded Wizards. And because, again, of either Russell Westbrook or Bradley Beal, whoever it is, the Wizards will take 2 games, but won't be the Celtics. Let's go second round, baby. But yeah, I have the Celtics winning in 6. Next, Lakers versus Pelicans. Yeah, I know I said the Nets and 76ers might be the most interesting. It's this one. I completely glanced over it. Who in their right mind doesn't want to watch LeBron versus Zion? Who doesn't want to watch that? It's also a revenge game for it's like these two teams have been connected and will be connected for quite a while because of that AD trade. This series is going to be so much fun to watch, but the Lakers are going to take it in 6. I'll say I'll give the Pelicans 2 games, but it could also be in 5 or a sweep. But more than likely, I'm gonna go ahead and say 6. Next, Clippers versus Trailblazers. I loved what the Trailblazers have done, but in fact, I had them going to the Western Conference Finals when they were originally my 6th seed. But now that they're my 5th seed, that changes right away, and I don't have them getting past the first round, as they lose in 7 to the Clippers, who are they're just better than the Trailblazers. I think the Clippers have the best player in Kawhi. The Blazers do have the second best player, but the Clippers have the third best. Blazers 4th. But yeah, I think the Clippers are just a more well-rounded team, have been together for a little bit longer. The addition of Robert Covington absolutely helps, but I like the Clippers in 7. Next, Nuggets and Warriors. I think if the Trailblazers were beating the Nuggets, I think as I kind of loosely mentioned, Trailblazers would win. But the Nuggets play the Warriors, and the Warriors are just too weak to get past the Nuggets. With Klay, Warriors win without a doubt in my mind. Without Klay, I think it goes to 7 because Steph is one of the best players in the world and forces this to a Game 7. However, the Nuggets' depth just pushes them over the top against the Warriors. And finally, the 2-seeded Mavericks versus the 7-seeded Jazz. I have gone back and forth with this game. I'm still not completely decided on it, but I'm going to stick with what I have written, and that's the Mavericks losing in 7. I think the Jazz are honestly on a little bit of a revenge tour, I guess you could say, after blowing that 3-1 lead. I think the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell's playing angry. Gobert's gonna step it up a tad bit. But I think just Donovan Mitchell and Luka does not bode well for the Mavericks. Whereas I think Donovan's offense just carries this Jazz team. It is very close. And I think if the Mavericks win, there's an absolutely very good shot they get to the finals. But I have the Jazz winning this series. Next, we got the Bucks. So moving on to the second round. We have the 1-seeded Bucks versus the 4-seeded 76ers. I don't think the 76ers have enough to compete too much. They'll compete. They'll take 2 games. But I think the Bucks will feel in control the entire time and win in 6. Next, the Heat and the Celtics, the Eastern Conference Finals rematch that I've been waiting for. And the Celtics take it in 7. I'm pumped for this year for the Celtics. I think it's going to be an amazing year. and I think they have enough this year to get past the Heat. They'll win 7. The Heat are a very, very good team, but so are the Celtics. Next, in the West, the matchup we've all wanted. We wanted it last year. We got it this year. Lakers versus Clippers. As of this moment right now, the Lakers have the 2 better players in LeBron and AD. The Clippers do have the next 2 best, and then they have the next couple best. I would say. I think the Clippers, though the Lakers are more well-rounded and should help and a repeat, I just don't think. I don't know what it is. I also did have the Clippers beating the Lakers last year, so maybe I still might be an absolutely ignorant kid, but yeah, I do think the Clippers will win this year in 7. Very close match. These playoffs are all just extremely close matchup after extremely close matchup. I love it. I can't wait for this year. But I do have the Clippers moving on in 7 to the Western Conference Finals. Next, the 3-seeded Denver Nuggets versus the 7-seeded Utah Jazz. Mitchell gets his revenge. This series will again be the West this year is going to be so entertaining to watch. And even though it is a 3 versus 7, I have the 7 winning. I think Donovan Mitchell is pissed. The entire Jazz team is pissed. They just signed Yogi Ferrell when I'm recording this, so key contributor right there. But I like the Jazz in this matchup against the Nuggets. Next, the Milwaukee Bucks in the conference finals. Milwaukee Bucks versus Boston Celtics, and this series I think will end in 6 games. I can't say for who. I can't confidently say who wins in 6. But this series will not go 7 games. I don't think. I don't confidently say it won't go 7. Can't say confidently who, but I'm going to say, if I don't know, gotta be biased. Let's go, baby. Finals appearance is what I'm predicting here. Again, it probably won't happen because I said it's going to happen. So maybe if I say it won't happen, then it might happen. But I'm going to say it is going to happen. So then eventually, I'm just going to predict them win every year. So then eventually when they do, I'm going to be happy. But yeah, I have the Celtics winning in 6. I think it's an absolutely great defensive matchup. One of the best defensive series in the entire playoffs. But the Celtics do just enough to go ahead and beat the Bucks. So in the West, we have the 4-seeded Clippers versus the 7-seeded Jazz, and the magic ends here. I have the Clippers winning in 5, if I'm being honest. Maybe Donovan can push it to 6, but the Clippers I think are just too good for the Jazz. The Jazz are a good defensive team. They've got no one. They're not going to be able to slow down Kawhi and Paul George. It's just not going to happen. And we get the finals that I predicted last year, even though there's no video on it. I did predict this finals last year, the Clippers versus the Celtics. And this different outcome this time. I did have Clippers winning last year. Celtics are going to win in 7. Because I love saying it's going to go to 7. I think when you look at it, the teams match up so well. It's such an amazing matchup. It's the finals I really want to see. Maybe that's why it happened, and maybe honestly, I think there's a solid chance this year it is a 1v1 finals with the Bucks and Lakers, and that'll be entertaining. And I do think the Bucks are rightfully so the favorites this year. But because I'm a Celtics fan and I'm absolutely biased, I'm going to say the Celtics win in 7 over the Clippers. Mainly because I also just love Kawhi. But Finals MVP, I have it going to Jason Tatum. And yeah, that's it for my preseason matchup. We win chip 18, staying ahead of the Lakers. But or chip 19, sorry. Yeah. I'm just going to blame it on the fact that it's late. Anyway, that'll do it for this. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all next time. Adios.